So, do you know Thomas Sowell?
I know that name. Why do I know that name?
Thomas Sowell is a big, famous conservative. He's at Stanford. He's at the Hoover Institute, I think. Anyway, so, within this, I mean, first, just to set all of this up, we should set up briefly, how does culture work, right? And the way culture works is that it, like genetic evolution, it works based on blind copying. So what ends up happening is that you are in awe of people, right? You look up to people. And so you blindly copy the things they do. And specifically, you start by blindly copying from the outside, and then you work in. Thomas Sowell is a black guy, right? Okay. And Thomas Sowell has for years and years and years been trying to fight racism. But he's been trying to fight racism by having a conversation about culture. Right? And the fact that there are essentially two different sort of, we're speaking broadly here, right? But this is for the purposes of communication. We're going to tell a simple story to start off with, right? So broadly speaking, he puts two different cultures of people with dark skin next to each other. And one culture is these people from the West Indies. And one culture is this group of people who grew up in the South with slavery and all that sort of stuff. Now, what one group, the West Indies group, does really well. So a lot of the successful black people like Colin Powell, are originally from that cultural heritage. The other group is the group that you find in ghettos and African-American communities and all of that sort of stuff. They don't do well, right? They don't get good education. They, shoot each other. There are all these sorts of things. And the reason why Sowell has been telling this story is because he's been trying to say, when liberals look at the people in ghettos, they say, racism, that's why they're not succeeding. And Sowell is saying, no, it's not. Because if you look at this group from the West Indies, they also came from the experience of slavery. There was slavery in the West Indies. They are also black, so they also face racism, and yet they do well. So it has to be something else. And that other thing is the fact that...
Okay. Because I'm just now being introduced to Thomas Sowell as well, and I'm gonna be honest, I was shocked by his position when I first met him through these videos, and because of where I'm from, I'm from where this gentleman, I don't know this gentleman's name, but the ghetto where they shoot each other and they're not doing well. That's where I'm from, the ghetto. I don't know why people see that. I don't like that term, man. Where I'm not. I know a whole bunch of people from the hood who are doing well, who are doing really well. All right? And I know a whole bunch of people who are not. And it's, but for their own reasons, and whatever is stopping them is what's stopping them. I can't speak on their lives. But Thomas Sowell hits hard. And he's like, nah, if you want a thing, you go for the thing. Stop complaining. Stop with all that victim stuff. I don't want to hear it. Everybody can do it. You know what I mean? It's much better than it was before. You have it. You have it very, very good. Do your thing. And if you're not going to do your thing, it's on you. Shut up and keep it moving.
So it has to be something else. And that other thing is the fact that these black people who are in the South, there's always been a big question, were black people robbed of their culture, or did they preserve their authentic African culture? And what Sowell is saying is that they were robbed of their culture, and so they picked up the culture of the people around them, and the people around them were rednecks. And if you look at...
Yep, that's what he said. We got our culture. African Americans in the hood got our cultures from rednecks.
At the white redneck culture and the black redneck culture, they have a lot of the same values. They don't particularly respect education. They love Jesus. They use violence in their conflicts. And they, there's just, a lot of the same values and a lot of the same outcomes. And even Ebonics, which is, black English, is actually all from the west of England. So it's actually this...
What?
It's from the west of England. So, for example, if you go to places like Cornwall, there used to be this amazing these amazing ads on British TV, right, for this this Devon custard or whatever, and they would always say, Devon knows how they make it so creamy, and they all talk like this, right? And so it doesn't sound like Black English, but they do say things like, I be doing that, and we be doing this, and you be doing that, and they be doing that. And so there's that use of that copula be, right, where instead of saying I am, you are, he is, she is, they are, they just say I be, you be, we be, they be, which is the classic feature of Black English, African American vernacular English.
That's crazy. That is crazy, bruh. That is wild. Wow, I see the tie-in. Oh man, I see the tie-in. Hey, and just for a moment, if you like this type of content, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Also the notification bell so that next time we put out content, you'll be the first to be notified.
Right.
Thank
Now,
you.
The point is that
Mind blower.
mind blower. Now, let's imagine that. How do you think that Thomas Sowell has been received by liberal America?
Don't like him.
No,
Not at all.
Not
Right.
well.
not well. And so, for
Not
example,
well at all.
Sowell has a book called Black Rednecks, White Liberals. Okay, and
And that's because you come off as whenever you're black and you go against black culture, you go against black culture because he's actually for black culture, but when you're not speaking their same language, their same, yeah, we need reparations, we need this. He's like, no, what's that going to do? What's reparations going to do? It ain't going to do anything. Matter of fact, it'll set you back. Welfare has been setting you back. This has been setting you back. That has been setting you back. And people look at him as, you Uncle Tom, you sell out, you bootlicking, you all this other negative BS, man. All because we don't want people to have their own private thoughts, their private understanding of things. And that's the BS that I'm trying to get rid of on this channel right here. That's what I want to get rid of. So yeah, let's go and finish checking this out right here. Hold on 1 second. Dang it, man, be more fluent.
his whole point is that, you know, if you actually, and, you know, again, like Sowell is, you know, he researches the shit out of this stuff. He really does his work.
Yeah, he do. Yeah,
Now,
he do.
if you look at the experience of African Americans after slavery, they do really, they start to make real progress, right? And a large part of the reason why they make progress is because you start to get a lot of people from New England, either, you know, black people from New England or white people from New England, who come down and sort of reshape the culture. They create these schools and they're teaching those New England values, right? It's those Puritan values of hard work, tenacity, all of that sort of stuff. And so there's all this progress. And you have people like Booker T. Washington. And Booker T. Washington was an actual slave. And then after he got his freedom, he got to go work in a salt mine, which is
Right.
literally the worst job ever. And in Booker T. Washington's Up From Slavery, he tells this great story about seeing a schoolhouse, right? And that, you know, he thought that going into a schoolhouse was about as close to heaven on earth as you could get.
Whoa.
Like, this is
Wow.
a dude who wanted an education really, really badly.
Wow.
And that's a lot of what you find in the, you know, early black experience in, you know, the post-slavery period. And in fact, you know, blacks, you know, before sort of World War II actually had higher rates of marriage than whites, all of these sorts of things that, you know, are now supposedly a problem. And then there's this turnaround, right? The black experience starts to go south, right? It starts to get worse.
And what year is this around?
This is post-World War II, right? So,
So post-slavery, black people experience a rebounding.
they're starting to make some progress. There's
making
ambition.
progress.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, if in terms of books to read, like, you know, just because a large part of what I'm trying to do in general is really let's move to the place of all people are created equal. Like, let's remove all these stupid distinctions, right? And really live that principle. And the problem is that in order to really live that principle, you need a new narrative that beats slavery. So, you know, it's not, if you go and talk,
And you need to amend the Fifth Amendment and the 13th Amendment if you want everyone to be equal. It's necessary.
talk to racists, you can't just say racism is bad. Like, that doesn't destroy racism.
Right.
What destroys racism
Racism
when
is
you
bad,
make sense of the
okay?
things that they know, right? They see, you know, people who are violent in the ghettos, or they see crime, or they see a lack of education, or they see that Africa is poor, and you're able to tell a better story that makes sense of the things that they know, but also comes out with the conclusion, oh, we actually all have the same potential.
Yes, we do actually all have the same potential. Um, and as much as we try to hold people feet to the fire for past sins, things are going to continue to get worse. Should people be held to the fire for past sins? Only the people who blatantly committed those sins and got away with it and are just living with their daggone feet up and sipping the pina colada right now. Those people probably. Everybody else, if they're not here anymore, let's move forward. Not move on, but move forward. I think there's a distinction. It's just one that I can't really 1000% explain because I don't really have that. I don't know. I just don't. I can, but you might not understand it because my communication is improving, but I probably confuse the hell out of someone and offend a few people while trying to explain the thought that's in my head, which I never intend to do. But per usual, I want to hear what you all have to say about this in the comments below. And if you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I am Van, and now we are all the LFR family. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video and hopefully inside the Patreon as well. You all have been amazing. Love y'all.